Welcome to the Fighter's Corner. Today we had Keith Thurman. And, John, if you had to have a fighter that gets hated on more in boxing today, and I'm not talking like, trash talking or, he's a jerk, I don't like his mom.
Yeah.
No, there's some legitimate just venom towards Keith Thurman, but by his peers.
He's definitely a heel to the boxing world, man, and I think he embraces it. He loves it, and it was a good interview. It was a really, really good interview with a really good guy. I wasn't a fan of Keith Thurman, but I mean, dude, I shouldn't say I hated on Keith Thurman, man, but it's I always rooted against him, man. I mean,
let's go through some names.
I bought into it.
Give me some names in that division. Listen how deep his division is. Go ahead.
Sean Porter.
Okay, keep going.
Ugas.
Keep going.
Terrence Crawford.
Is there any more, John?
Errol Spence.
Oh.
Manny Pacquiao.
What?
And that's just the
just
froth.
the tip of the iceberg.
That's just the froth, man. It gets deeper.
So, when you talk about a division, and you talk about a king, Earl Spence right now is considered the king, and it's due to the fact that Keith Thurman had so much downtime.
Yeah.
But Keith Thurman, based on his downtime, if you were to take that away, he would be, people say Lomachenko is number one.
Yeah.
It would be a conversation where you and I would be arguing for that number one spot between Lomachenko and Keith Thurman.
Right.
You'd be sitting here talking about footwork, and I'd be sitting here talking about power.
Yeah.
Power or footwork, which is more important. They're both fast.
Yeah, and
I
think that this bout against Manny Pacquiao is going to sort of help elevate him as a boxer and his profile.
This bout might put him in pay-per-view status.
Yeah. I mean,
which is something that's kind of needed. Like, we can sit here and talk about, the froth, but when you talk about pay-per-view status, it's mostly heavyweights that we're throwing around outside of Triple G, Canelo Alvarez, just the regular name. Because boxing is so hot right now, someone is going to break through. And once one breaks through, a few others, others are going to follow him.
Yeah.
And Keith Thurman, in my opinion, is that guy.
Right. He could be, yeah. I mean, he very well could be.
So we had 30 minutes with him. Dude.
Man, it went by so fast, man. I wish I could have 3 hours with that dude, man.
We notoriously try to get extra questions.
Yeah.
It's such a jerky move.
Yeah, I mean,
But we're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're going to keep doing that. If you guys hear an interview with us with somebody that's a fighter, start your timer.
Right.
Because every minute after 30 minutes,
it's just
the fighter
time,
doesn't. The fighter doesn't care.
Yeah.
But the press agents call us up. Eventually we're gonna get yelled at, and we'll come on here and apologize to somebody.
And you know what we want to do? Thank Bolt Media for helping us out with this, man. She hooked us up really nice. Hannah was great and easy to work with, man.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So
good. Well, enjoy the interview. I know we did.
Hit like, subscribe, share, tell everybody you know about it, man. This is a great interview. I really did like it a lot, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter in his life, and it starts with Manny Pacquiao.
Excellent.
So, thanks, guys.
Enjoy the show.
So who are you taking in this weekend's fights? I know who I got, and it's not who you think. So I'm going to take my picks over to the world's safest and most trusted online gambling site and make a few bets. That's right, it's BetDSI.com. With more than 20 years' experience in the online gaming industry, BetDSI has the best sign-up and deposit promotions on the web. They also boast more deposit options than any other betting site, including fast, free, and secure payouts. Also, for our listeners, they are offering a special promotion where you can build a bigger bankroll and get 100% sports cash bonus when using our promo code Fighters Corner, all one word. That's 50% more sports cash by using our promo code Fighters Corner. Check out BetDSI for all your online gaming needs. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share, all because you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Radio Player, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and the guy sitting next to you on the train is probably listening to us too. And if you can, show us your support by finding us on Patreon, where you can let us know how much you love us. And if you're a fan of boxing, jiu-jitsu, kumite, and even capoeira, go check out my guys at UCL MMA. These guys are the heavyweight champions of mixed martial arts shows. And if you think you're the next Johnny Lawrence, go to their website at uclmma.com, shoot them an email and tell them John sent you before asking their matchmaker that you want to defend your All Valley Karate Championship versus one of their fighters. That's uclmma.com. I also want to thank our new Danish friends from Denmark, Mal de Castro, who was kind enough to let us use his beats for this podcast. I've listened to his tracks, and this kid's pretty talented for being this young. If you like the track being played right now, go check out his music on Spotify. And you can also find Mal De Castro on Instagram and Facebook. Go find this guy. It's pretty good music. In combat sports, sometimes the most popular fighters aren't always everyone's favorite fighters. And in today, our guest is a boxer who is definitely labeled as a heel at 147. But not only is he a heel, he's also 29-0, the former WBC and current WBA welterweight champion, and one of the hardest punchers in the division. He's also tasked with one of the biggest fights of his career coming up against the legend Manny Pacquiao on July 20th with PBC. Welcome to the show, Keith, one-time Thurman.
What's up, guys? It's great being here.
So, Keith, let me start you off with maybe a difficult question. What does respect mean to you as a boxer?
Well, it depends. There's two different kinds of respect. There's respect in the ring with an opponent, and there's respect outside of the ring from possibly, your stats and your credentials and things of that nature. In the ring, you have to earn the respect. Outside the ring, you still have to earn respect, but to a degree, everybody who steps in the ring deserves respect because boxing is just one hell of a sport. We like we say, football players play football, baseball players play baseball, basketball players play basketball. Nobody plays boxing. Okay, your kids will say, "Hey, let's go basketball court today." Not too many kids on the block are like, "Hey, man, you want to play? Punch me in the face?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real brutal sport.
Yeah.
And I believe to a degree, respect has to be given to every single fighter that steps into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's the depth of the respect given. So that leads us to our next question. All right, you fought Josecito Lopez after a 2-year layoff, because of an elbow injury. And, Keith, you're one of those guys that people kind of like to pile on, and I think it's just because of your undefeated record. You punch like a mule, and I think there's a lot of jealousy amongst the division with you. And with Josecito Lopez, it seemed like everybody came out of the woodwork to go, well, he's not as good as we thought. But you came off of a 2-year layoff. You're knocking ring rust off against a very tough opponent. Since then, how do you feel like you have progressed till today since that fight?
Oh, well, we feel a lot better because we're taking the momentum from that training camp, which was not the best training camp of my life. We're taking the momentum from that into this Manny Pacquiao fight. It's been 4 years since I fought twice in 1 year.
That's nuts.
And I'm not just fighting twice in 1 year. I'm pretty much fighting twice almost within 6 months, So I feel great to literally call myself an active fighter once again because of the inactivity with the injury, the 2-year layoff, plus the inactivity before that when I fought Sean Porter. That was one fight for that year. And then I fought Danny Garcia, and that was one fight that year. So I was active, but not a truly active fighter. And, and I think that's what started some of the hatred on me is...
I like that.
Deep down, the welterweight division needs Keith Thurman.
Absolutely.
Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter was Showtime's fight of the year. I was out for 2 years. I didn't see a lot of entertaining fights.
Well, you also left a lot of money on the table as well. I mean, this isn't something by choice. This is something by happenstance. Do you know what I mean? It's like the fight window to make money isn't very large, and you want to try to get as much through that window as possible, and everyone's looking at you out of jealousy, and you're like, well, I just want to get in there and get paid, and that ability was hampered by an elbow injury. So it's not like you were avoiding anybody. You had to heal.
I accomplished my greatest feat to this day by unifying the WBA and the WBC, defeating Danny Garcia when we both were undefeated champions. And that was the highlight of my career. And then I had to go sit on the bench for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it really didn't feel good. You know, I was in my prime. I'm letting my prime slip away. And, you know, I had a lot of emotional ups and downs. You know, I could care less about what people were saying because I'm a professional athlete, and criticism comes with the job. But at the end of the day, you know, when I'm in that ring, I'm living my dream. And for anybody out there who's a dreamer, they know what it feels like to not be able to live out that dream, even if it's momentarily or possibly for the rest of their life. So, you know, like I said, emotionally, I had my ups and downs. I finally got able to get back in the ring, face Josecito Lopez, which real fighters know how much of a dog Josecito Lopez is. I didn't have to put myself in the ring against the dog. Mm-hmm. And I told everybody prior to that fight that you will not see the best Keith Thurman that you've ever seen, but you will see a world-class performance. And I do believe I showed that.
I think so.
In January.
I agree. And, you know, like, boxing obviously is about levels. You can sit here and say, oh, it's about gears and levels when you're talking about it in the ring. But there's also people behind the scenes that also work in levels. And you landing this Manny Pacquiao fight, I believe, like, it's a coming out party for you. You know, I mean, to the international audiences, but it also has got like everybody cutting YouTube videos all of a sudden. Like all of your past opponents or potential future opponents are now like videotaping themselves with opinions on you, you know, and going to YouTube so people can listen to it. Do you even pay attention to that stuff, or do you just kind of shake it off?
You know, I do get boxing information throughout my YouTube feed. Uh-huh. So I saw Sean Porter stated an opinion. I didn't listen to it. And then the latest thing that I got in my feed, and all I did was read the headline or whatever, you know, however they labeled the interview.
Yeah,
it was Josecito Lopez stating that, you know, Keith Thurman's power is nothing special. And once again, I did not listen to it, but I did fight Josecito Lopez, and I know I wasn't trying to hurt him. Okay? Uh-huh. I know that it was the first time in my life where I was in the ring, and the way he was swinging at me, I had no intentions of swinging like that at him.
That's interesting. I love the nerd in me loves hearing that.
First time in my whole fight.
Why is that?
Career. You know,
you getting some ring time in, or what?
I wasn't fighting to win the world title. I was fighting to defend the world title. You know, he was swinging at me like he wanted to become the champion of the world. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm already the champion of the world. I boxed a smart fight. Mm-hmm. I dropped him in the second. I didn't eagerly get back on him. I thought maybe if he made that mistake once, he might walk into it twice.
Right.
He never really made that mistake again. He kept his right hand glued to the side of his face. Mm-hmm. When I mean glued, you can rewatch the fight and you can see he had both of his hands glued to the side of his face, which left me with one option: jab, 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 right hand. Okay. If you're going to protect your temples, and if you're going to protect from all the overhand rights and the left hooks, then you're leaving me a straight alleyway. I'm not going to hit you where I can't land. I'm going to hit you where you're going to let me hit you. He felt comfortable taking the 1-2 solid to the face because, like I demonstrated, when I took the straight right hand solid to the face, as long as it's on the face, no matter how solid it is, it doesn't shake you up. If it hits you directly, it has to hit you straight down on the chin, which is one of the smallest targets on the face. You know, the nose is a small target, but at least it's centralized, and the chin is not centralized. Mm-hmm. So, really, I just gave him a simple boxing lesson and said, you remember when you first showed up to the gym, they showed you the jab, then they showed you the right hand. Yeah. Here's mine. I win. Good night. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, Keith, like the nerd in me just like loves hearing like a boxer talk about, you know, his boxing fights. Like I just love it, man. And it's really cool to listen to you break it down. Do you think, like, honestly, like when I see that fight, I didn't see like the best performance of Keith Thurman, and I think like a lot of people sort of have like that general idea.
But it's a 2-year layoff.
No.
Like, he needed ring time.
No,
honestly, he needed ring time.
You're 100% right, and that's what I was going to get to next. I think like the benefit of the doubt goes to Keith Thurman in this. I mean, being 29-0, 2-year layoff, coming off of an injury.
It's not a mistake.
No, it's not a mistake. But
it's not an accident.
I was going to ask, like, do you think there was a little bit of ring rust involved, Keith, or you think like you felt real comfortable, you felt real confident in there? I mean, take me through that portion of it. Like, how was it coming off the layoff or the injury?
And the fight at such a high level.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't a gimme fight.
Yeah, and he knew about the fight well ahead of time. He prepared better than a lot of opponents of mine in preparation for the fight. And like me and my buddies say, after the fight, man, that boy was swinging. He was swinging at me. I talked to people from his camp after the fight, and they said one thing that was impressive was the way I duck and dodge some of those wide hooks, because they just, a lot of people expect Keith Thurman to be skillful, expect a little bit of power, but what they don't expect is that movement, and they just really can't predict that, and they don't have sparring partners that can easily mimic it. So, I mean, for me, I'm glad the fight didn't get stopped in the second round, because when I had to endure being wobbled from a left hook in the 7th, and then I took 2 clean right hands to the face. This is the moment of the fight that went viral because of the referee's eyes, the way he was engaging with me, making sure that I'm still a conscious fighter, and that it's not, he's aware. Do I stop the fight? Do I let this continue? He sees a person. It doesn't matter whom, what, where. This is their job. He sees a human being taking punches to the head.
Yeah,
that's the fight game. But we have limitations, right?
Right.
So luckily for me, those 2 straight right hands after I was wobbled a little bit, those 2 right hands, like I said, they hit me solidly in the face. They didn't hit me on the chin. They didn't hit me on top of the temple. But I remember the first right hand, I'm like, you're on the outside. He can't reach you. Jose Cito Lopez has longer arms than I've faced in a long time. He leaned forward, and for the first time in the fight, he threw a straight right hand and not a looping right hand.
Right.
The moment you loop a right hand, you're taking distance away from your punches, right?
Yeah.
So he extended that arm fully out. I thought I'm on the outside. He leaned forward. Boom, my head snaps back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, uh-oh.
Yeah, you're in a fight at that point.
I said, let's get back on the outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you're on the outside. You're on the outside. He does it again.
Yeah.
Boom. I said, motherfucker. So I say to myself, I go, Keith, you're okay, but everyone in the world thinks you're about to be knocked out.
I'm sure you probably talk to yourself a lot during fights, man.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, if I keep you sane.
It's short and it's really, really fast.
Yeah.
These brain conversations happen really fast.
I'm sure, man. I'm sure.
It's like, fuck, they think you're about to be knocked out. You're right, though. Let's go. Keep it moving. Get on the bike, and there was talk about after the fight at the post conference, they were debating if they fought somebody else that maybe a referee may have stopped the fight in that condition. I disagree, because after those punches, he never followed up with
a flurry. It's a world title fight, man. Yeah. It's a world title fight, dude. I mean,
I don't care. I don't care about world title fights, and I'll tell you why. Because referees are human beings and they make mistakes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we've seen referees stop fights too early. We've seen them stop fights too late. We've seen it all in the sport of boxing. Okay, and my argument is, even though he landed clear punches and they looked like big shots, he didn't follow them up with a flurry. I was never stuck on the ropes. You know when the fighter gets hit and then they're stuck on the ropes and then they get hit with 10 more punches. That's the moment the referee stops the fight.
Right.
I never gave him that opportunity, even though he was right at the cusp of possibly, because I'm on my feet. it's a really hard decision for a referee when he's not allowed to give you a standing 8 count.
Yeah.
If the referee wants to step in, he's stepping in to stop the fight.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Keith, you know what? Like, I've been watching a lot of your interviews as of late, and to be honest with you, like, the silliest question that, like, I know pisses you off, and it pisses me off as a viewer too, when you get asked, "Hey, are you ducking so and so?" And I could see you get rattled, and I'm like shaking my tablet, rattled as well. And I think that's probably the most ridiculous question.
Insulting. It's an insulting question.
I mean, Keith, I don't think there's a deeper division in boxing than 147.
Right now.
Okay? No, right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, if you're ducking, I don't know, Earl Spence Jr., you got Sean Porter. If you're ducking Sean Porter, you got Terrence Crawford.
Or
Ugas.
Yeah.
If you're ducking one of those guys, guess what? You got Manny Pacquiao.
It's literally murderer's row, and the biggest payday is the guy that you're fighting.
Yeah. I mean, like, I could see if you're ducking, like, the champion and, like, the only top dog in the division is the champion and there's a bunch of, like, B-level fighters.
Nah, it's murderer's row.
At 147, it is extremely tough.
Boxing is hot right now.
In fact, I've had several people ask me, like, "Hey, man, I'm getting back into boxing. What should I do?"
147.
Watch 147,
yep.
man.
Absolutely.
I mean, the drama, the fights, the competitors, it's top-notch. And Keith Thurman, you're part of that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty good. So you throw a lot.
I love it.
Yeah, it's true though.
Right?
How can you argue that?
Yeah.
Hey Keith, you're one of the top dogs. We're yelling at you. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
So and to put yourself in a position the way you have is incredibly impressive, and it takes dedication and discipline. And I really wish people would really kind of understand that. All right, you're fighting on a Saturday night, but about 8 to 10, maybe even 12 weeks prior to that, you had to make just hard life decisions to get you where it is you need to be for one night for a few hours. And it's incredibly impressive. And one of the things that, I think is most impressive about yourself, and obviously we're kissing your ass right now, but it's your power. And the type of power that you throw isn't something that you can fake or just kind of mimic on accident. And the power that you throw, are you going to be able to sustain that for the length of a 12-round fight against a Manny Pacquiao? And what are you doing in order to make sure that you can?
Well, as long as I land the power, hopefully it's not going to have to go 12 rounds.
I like it.
Okay, he's going in for a kill.
I've done so much in my career. I've really always wanted to be the best fighter that I can be. And I remember when I first hit major networks and I had my first fight on HBO and I was dropping everybody, and then they throw me on Showtime and I'm stopping most of my opponents. And then, we get into the Bundus, we get into the Robert Guerreros, and all of a sudden I start having a little bit more of these 12-round fights. And at the time, in training camps, I was focused on developing my boxing skill to make sure that I am a world-class 12-round fighter. My power has always presented itself.
Even as an amateur.
At some point.
Yeah, even as an amateur.
As an amateur.
Yeah.
As an amateur, I didn't have a jab. All I threw was power punches. Okay, you can ask several different people to confirm that, including the Porters, and there's a whole bunch of old names. Danny Jacobs. We go way back from the amateurs. I used to watch him in the ranks. They used to watch my fights.
That's just how it goes. You guys all know each other before you even set foot in there as pros. Yeah, no, that's just how it goes. It's like a weird community within a community. Yeah.
I'm proud of every single fighter that I grew up with that's made it to the top. Because I remember seeing them at 16, 17, 18 years old, and I know even when I saw them at that age at the Nationals, that they were dedicated way before then. Mm-hmm. We all were dedicated. I started boxing at the age of 7. I had my first amateur fight at 9 years old.
Jesus.
So this fight with Manny Pacquiao to me is just proof of everything my original trainer Ben Getty told me, which is you have what it takes to be world champion. Mm-hmm. you are a multi-million-dollar fighter, boy. He used to tell me this at 14 years old.
Can you imagine
because at
being 10 years old and getting your ass kicked by Keith Thurman? yeah, I got my ass whooped by him. How old were you? I was like 10.
That's
great. There's a few. You know, we made certain boxers become trainers because they realized they weren't going to turn pro if this young man was putting hands on them like that.
This one hurt. Yeah, I gotta go on the other administrative side of this sport.
Keith, are you taking your training camp a little bit different now that you got Manny Pacquiao on the books, or are you doing everything the same that you normally would against any other fighter?
Well, no. You know, I mean, this is not just about Manny Pacquiao, even though it's definitely about facing Manny Pacquiao. This is about Keith Thurman coming back to the welterweight division. And we had a great comeback fight. We got a great response from the fans. And now we have the biggest fight of my career facing the only active living legend left in the welterweight division, who is Manny Pacquiao.
It's going to be crazy looking across the ring and staring at him. It's got to be nuts to you. I'm sure you grew up watching it.
It was very different just being at the presser with him, you know, seeing his level of confidence, somebody who's fought over 60 fights, somebody who is now the senator of the Philippines. You know, I mean, Manny Pacquiao is on top of the world. He's an inspiration to all, you know, all athletes, anybody who's inspiring to be, anybody who's inspiring to be something in life, you know. So for me, it's a great honor to share the ring with him. But I believe that defeating Manny Pacquiao is the start of Keith Thurman's legacy. And, you know, there's definitely more to come. But this is just a great fight. And I'm truly looking forward to it. And I'm training really hard. I'm focused more on strength because I have to get back on my military Ben Getty strength work. You know, at a young age when I was knocking people out. Well, I'm training with my same boxing coach, Dan Birmingham, St. T Boxing. We haven't outsourced our camps yet.
You bringing guys in?
I train at home. We do bring guys in. I got a Cuban Olympian that is going to be one of my sparring partners.
All right, okay, Keith, that's one of our benchmarks. Like when we talk about like boxing, you always talk about like world titles, who you fought, and one of the questions that we always bring up, did you ever beat a Cuban? It's the technical aspects of a Cuban fighter I don't think they get enough credit, like in the mainstream press. So you're bringing in a Cuban Olympian, okay?
I got a local fighter, Clarence Booth, who he switches, and so he's going to work southpaw with me, and then we got one more up in the air. We're rolling around two different names right now. One's a young, undefeated Polish fighter, and another one is currently training out of Vegas. And I'm not quite sure which one we're going to go with yet. But we got a great camp set up. You know, I think this is the best camp I've had in a long time.
That's good.
I just really want to present my skills and my talent to the world. And, you know, my motto has never really changed. I got I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me.
Right.
You know, but what I care about in the sport of boxing is putting my best foot forward. So win, lose, or draw, Keith Thurman knows that he did his best. You know, and that there's no excuses.
Keith, I know. Thank you for your time so far up to this point. I appreciate it. I got one last question for you, and we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah, we know we gotta let you go.
I know. We know you're busy as all hell, man. And honestly, I wish that we have like another 2 hours with you.
We could sit here for an hour.
with you. honestly, but we ain't gonna take that away from you, man. Keith, after Pac-Man, okay, win, lose, or draw, we know one thing's for sure. Keith Thurman isn't done with boxing, okay? Take away the contracts, take away the money, take away the promoters. I want to know who Keith Thurman wants to punch next.
Well, honestly, I have my mind wrapped around dominating this fight to the best of my ability. So after we accomplish that goal, it's up to Manny Pacquiao to decide whether or not he wants to exercise the rematch clause. And then from there, in 2020, and I've made this statement earlier this year. I said, don't ask me about Errol Spence in 2019. I'm coming back after 2 years. I would never fight the number 2 welterweight in the world. They can argue whether they think he deserves the number 1 spot, but we all know I took the number 1 spot a few years ago. And, I believe you got to beat the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
So you guys can do whatever controversy you want. You can favor him, not favor him, whatever. The fight needs to happen.
Right.
I think there's rumors of him and Sean Porter going at it. For me, I want my WBC title back.
There you go.
I unified. I'm undefeated.
There you
Other
go.
dudes are calling themselves champions, and they never beat me to get that world title.
No, we
right?
call those paper champions.
Paper champion. There you go.
Absolutely. All right, so Keith, real quick, favorite current fighter outside of yourself? Is there a guy that you watch consistently that you enjoy watching? Lomachenko.
Nah, it's a little hard. I like
Triple G.
Well, I guess Deontay Wilder.
That's a
My
good
boy.
one. That's a good answer. Hey,
we'll
me
take
too.
that one.
Me too.
Yeah, we're
me
fans.
too. Keith, I know you got a long list of haters and doubters that it's a list you probably carry around in your pocket. And embarrassingly, I was on that list. I really, really was. But there's no fighter in my book who has made me eat crow more than Keith Thurman. And after rooting against you so many times, man, I'd watch your fights, and you'd prove me wrong over and over and over again, up until the point where you just start earning my respect. And that was one of the first things we asked you in this podcast episode interview. And you've got my respect, man. With that, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for what you've done to the sport. And thank you for this interview. Good luck versus Manny Pacquiao on July 20th, man. We're in your corner. Take care, bud.
Thank you for the support, guys.
Be good,
Take
brother.
care.
Take care, man. All right, and I got to get going soon.
Yeah, so we're going to do the outro. Well, there you have it. There was the interview with Keith One-Time Thurman.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. When somebody like him gets this opportunity, and fighting Manny Pacquiao is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You're talking about generational wealth. With just one night. Start again.
Well, there you have it. There was the interview with Keith One-Time Thurman.
Yeah, when you talk about Manny Pacquiao and the opportunity to fight him, you're talking about generational wealth. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be difficult if you're,
You want to take one of these, dude?
I got to be somewhere at noon.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, there you have it. The interview with Keith One-Time Thurman.
Yeah, when you have the opportunity to fight Manny Pacquiao, you're talking about generational wealth. Mm-hmm. You're not just talking about money you can spend in your lifetime. You're talking about your children.
Right.
If planned properly, we'll get a significant sum to where, the opportunity or the necessity to work really isn't there for them either.
Right. Yeah.
And it couldn't happen to a guy that works harder than Keith. So, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. At the end of the day, do you know what I would do, John? Mm-hmm. I would go to betdsi.com. I would look at the odds on the fight and, put in promo code Fighters Corner and you double your cash at that point. So,
well, there you have it. We just wrapped up with Keith One-Time Thurman.
John, when you talk about opportunities and the opportunities that life presents to you, when there's an open door and you can walk through it, you have to. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to take crazy paths to get there.
Right.
And Keith's path is non-traditional in regards to his biggest asset. Not only is his fighting ability, obviously he wouldn't be on the show, but his downtime. And his downtime allowed him to be in the position he is in. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about Manny Pacquiao, in essence, you're going to acquire what can be considered generational wealth.
Right.
With that. And it's like his children aren't going to have a necessity to work if everything is planned properly.
Right.
Based on, the purse he gets from that fight. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's his coming out party.
I think so. He's been here. You know what I mean? And this is just an extension of it.
Like
I think this
international coming out party.
This is going to help him get to the next stage in his career where
levels.
he's going to be, a top tier, not just in the welterweight division, but in the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. I mean, can you imagine the shakeup that would happen if he ends up knocking out Manny Pacquiao? I mean, it's not like, he's, a 500 fighter, getting this opportunity to beat Manny Pacquiao. This guy's 29-0. He's one of the heaviest hitters in the welterweight division. Yeah. He's getting a big payday versus Manny Pacquiao. What happens if he beats him? I'm not saying that he doesn't have a chance, because he very well does have a chance.
He didn't look his best against Jose Cito.
Keith Thurman.
Yes. And self-admitted.
Yeah, he admitted in it, and he said he didn't give him his everything, too. He said he pretty much...
Which also helped him get this fight.
Yeah.
When you take 2 years off...
That's true, man. That's true.
Absolutely. When you take 2 years off, if you think you're going to look phenomenal...
Mm-hmm. Well, think about this, too. Like, if you end up knocking out Lopez, do you think Manny Pacquiao wanted anything to do with that? I mean, like, Manny Pacquiao's in a position right now where he can cherry-pick his opponents. Yeah. So he's seen a rusty Keith Thurman. He said, I could take this guy.
He'd be foolish not to jump on that as well.
No, right. You know what I mean? But, like, if this is a bait thing for Keith Thurman that he did, you know what I mean, to not look as impressive because he knew he could get a payday.
You take 2 years off, you need ring time.
I get that too. I get that too. But, I mean, at the same time, too, I think, like, the end game for any welterweight in this division, like, if you ask any welterweight in this division, who do you want to fight? Everyone wants Pacquiao because of the payday.
Biggest payday.
Payday. So Keith put himself in a good position to win and get money. So, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I enjoyed talking to him, and I think...
Good guy.
I think you...
I hate saying that.
I think we're going to... Yeah, I know, right? I think we're going to have him on again.
I hope so.
That's the type of person...
I love to get him back on and just, like, nitpick some of his best fights. You know what I mean? And break him down.
I want to talk about his amateur career.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, too.
You know what I mean? When you talk about, like, boxing, there's, like, true students of the game. Mm-hmm. And the true students of the game, the guys that, like, not only work hard, but then do their homework as well. I mean, there's natural athletes that just go on there and mow everybody down.
Right.
Deontay didn't have much of an amateur pedigree, although he did reach high levels of the amateur system. So we had people around him kind of, like, coaching him through that.
Right.
So, like, Keith Thurman, this guy's been around the sport a long time.
Yeah.
So...
I like that, man, though. I'm
pumped
for it now.
Me too.
I am really pumped for it, man. The boxing fight is July 20th under the PBC banner. Actually, there's a really good undercard, too. Caleb Plant's fighting. Ugas is fighting.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. So it's definitely worth watching, man.
Take my money.
Yeah, dude, it's actually an event that you sort of cater a night around.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Food, friends, beverages, Mike for you, soda water.
Who's showing it? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Pay-per-view.
Is it pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Is it traditional pay-per-view?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, it's under the PBC banner, so I'm
cool.
guessing, yeah.
Good,
so,
good.
So,
excellent.
With that, thanks, guys, for listening. It was a phenomenal interview. If you like it, hit like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. Thanks, guys. Take care.